What's up, biker bros? This is Nathan from the Gen Z Biker Blog, and today I am in Cocoa Beach, Florida, riding this beautiful Indian FTR 1200 courtesy of Imotorsports of Orlando. So if you are looking to get an Indian motorcycle and you live in Florida, make sure to check out Imotorsports of Orlando. They also have a great used selection as well. Check them out. But anyways, today I wanted to talk about whether or not the Indian FTR 1200 is too big of a bike for a new to moderately experienced motorcycle rider. Also, by the way, we do have Mr. Brandon Picasso. Check him out on YouTube above. Ding! He is a fantastic motovlogger, big promoter of Indian. Currently he's riding a Suzuki M109. But okay, so now here's the deal. Although this video is titled, "Is the FTR too big of a bike for a beginner?" I'm going to talk a little bit more broadly. And instead of it just being the FTR, I'm going to talk, is anything too big of a bike for someone? So if you're on a 300 and you're going to a 600 or a 650 or a 750, an 800, a 900, or even 1,000 plus, how do you manage a jump from a smaller bike to a bigger bike like that? So now the first thing I'm going to talk about is power mode. So on the FTR 1200, we've got technically four power modes. So you've got rain mode, standard mode, sport mode, and then track mode. Track mode is kind of an extension of sport mode, so that's why I say four. But basically what power modes allows you to do is change the response of the throttle. So when you rip back your wrist on the throttle, it changes the responsiveness and how much power that rear tire is going to put down. So for someone that maybe is a little bit wary of a bigger bike but 100% wants to jump up to that next level, they can feel free to put it in rain mode. In rain mode, it limits the power substantially. And you know, for example, in specific, the FTR 1200 also does have ABS and traction control. So if you're someone that maybe is a little bit afraid about sweeping out that rear tire or whatever it may be, the FTR 1200 would maybe be a good step if you are on a 600 and you're looking to go to that next step. But if you're on a moped or a 300cc and you still don't quite feel comfortable on maybe a 600 or a 750, then maybe an FTR 1200 isn't a great step for you. You should never push your limits too much on a motorcycle. Always ride within your limits and with whatever you feel comfortable with. So for example, I started riding on I think it was a 300cc dual sport kind of, I think it was like a Yamaha DRZ, something of that nature. And then the first bikes that I ever rode on a street environment were Indian Scouts and Scout Bobbers. And I started off slow. I didn't push my boundaries. I wasn't going super fast, sticking on residential streets. And that was a good transition for me from what I had started out on, that 300cc, whatever it was. But keep in mind, a Scout Bobber, the cc of a cruiser motorcycle, although it's a higher cc, is going to be a lot different than a FTR 1200 or a super sport motorcycle. So anyways, power modes will be your best friend. The other thing to keep in mind is, although you have that 1200 cc's, you don't always have to be using it. You don't have to be ripping on the throttle all the time. use it. Use the power at your discretion. Understanding throttle control and clutch control will be a big part of riding safely. So for example, if I'm coming up to this red light here and this Subaru WRX with the surfboard on top cuts in front of me last minute, I know I can slam on the clutch, engine bomb him, and hit my front and rear brakes. And I can stop fairly well in doing that, especially since this does have ABS. Or even if something fell off of a truck, say that surfboard fell off the top of the truck, I know and I am comfortable with my riding skills that I can swerve out of the way as opposed to yanking the throttle and maybe doing an 11-12 o'clock wheelie. It's just something that as you ride more, you will get more comfortable and take test rides on bigger bikes too once in a while, you know? Once you start to feel more comfortable on your 600 or your 300, maybe go test ride a 600, maybe go test ride a 1000cc bike. Take those baby steps into it, don't rush, and you will be totally fine. But anyways, guys, that concludes today's video on whether or not the FTR 1200 is too big of a bike for a beginner or moderately experienced motorcycle rider. Thanks and have a great day, Biker Bros. Ride safe out there.